So I developed this idea that in the biggest sort of categories that we can find, there's three aspects to my life as a musician, and I recommend that my students carry this on as well. One is that the first aspect is learning. So when you're learning something new, you want it to be a very small thing. You want to learn it very carefully and accurately. And the mindset that you bring to it, it has judgment in it. And you're trying to make sure that you don't learn it wrong or make mistakes because you just teach yourself these mistakes. But it needs to be very small, like one phrase of a solo, or one, like 4 bars of the melody of a song or something like that. So you take a very small, digestible chunk, learn it accurately and slowly at first. And that's what I call the learning phase. Then that must be accompanied by what we can call the practicing phase, which is the repetition of that thing. So you develop your muscle memory, you develop a confidence in the idea, and you play it many, many times in order to internalize it. You can do that maybe while you're watching golf or something like that, because the mindset of it isn't as particularly judgmental, although there is still a little bit of that because you have to keep yourself on track. But you can have a relaxed mind. It doesn't have to be a sweatshop when you're doing that part. And then the third thing is what I call the performance aspect, which is eventually, if you've done the first two correctly and thoroughly, you've got to be able to play it. And I don't mean performing in front of people necessarily, but just when you play music, right? When it's not studying, it's not learning, it's playing. That is, the mind is almost off. Not much thinking, and particularly not much judgmentalism. So, because if you're talking to yourself about how much you suck while you're trying to play, which is not a joke, we do it, right? If I'm telling myself, oh, I can't make this, I'm not going to do it, oh, I suck, nobody likes me, then that's what it's going to sound like,
Yeah, right.
So, and I believe that we need to do all three of those things frequently, and especially the playing of the music, we need to do it every day. We need to remind ourselves that we're not just a student who can't do the thing. We need to remind ourselves that we're actually a musician. Because no matter where you are in your musical life, you're going to be learning things that you can't do. You're going to be practicing them over and over until you do them well. But that doesn't mean you're not a musician, because you can't do
Beautiful.
those things. You got to be able to remember that you can play. So even this is music, right? It's
Yeah.
beautiful music,
Yeah.
right? And it's sometimes what we're required to do. So everybody is a musician. Like day two, you're a musician.
Right.
You got to keep learning, but there's always that thing. So that's why the performance, what I call a performance, and the joy of it is so important.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.